riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, Hans Gruber to my John McClane, co-host extraordinaire, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, I guess. I want to take this opportunity up front to be very clear. I am not aroused at all. Not even a little bit.
That's a super weird way to start this show.
But it has to be said. I need that to be clear up front.
You mean like in this moment you're not aroused? I don't understand. What does that have to do? We just hit record on the microphone. Why are you bringing this up?
I would like everyone to know I'm not aroused.
Great, Tim. Well, I guess if that's what we're doing, I also, for the duration of this episode, can all but guarantee will also be not aroused. Gino, you planning? Oh, septuagenarian Italian man's half asleep right now. I don't think he's going to be getting terrifically aroused.
Yeah, but he could be the judge at the end.
Of what?
Of who's aroused. Just to make sure we're both being honest.
Okay. Tim, aside from your level of arousal, which again, I just can't understand the relevance, why don't you tell the folks what we've been listening to for the last week?
We have been listening to James Blunt's 2005 single, You're Beautiful. This was suggested by Alan A.J. LeMay, Jeremy Herr, and Caroline, who wanted us to do the whole album. No.
Do you hate this song?
I do, but please don't tell James Blunt that. I fear him in his menacing military and sexual prowess.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
What about you, Garrett? Do you hate this song?
You know, Tim, I started already hating this song, knowing it well, but I listened to it. And I kept listening to it. I listened to it some more. I read about it. I learned about the man, and I don't think I hate this song.
Oh, Garrett, you are a coward who fears James Blunt in his menacing military and sexual prowess. I know all about you. I know you're kind. Fucking coward.
Tim, you just a moment ago said you were scared of James Blunt's military and arguably irrelevant sexual prowess. Are you not a coward?
No, because I said that I do in fact hate it. Despite my fear of him, I still hate it.
I don't know, Tim. I just don't hate it.
No, I understand what you were saying. Knowing his menacing military and sexual prowess, you cannot hate it because you are afraid.
No.
Okay, we'll see.
Tim, is this the first time your Blunt has been Jamesed?
It is not. I have heard this more than a few times. I knew like the chorus, but that's about it. I never really listened to the lyrics, never really thought much about it, but that's kind of how Jim lures you in, I think.
Interesting.
What about you, Garrett? Is this the first time you have been beautiful?
Certainly not, Tim. I try to be beautiful daily, and I have heard this song so many times. However, upon listening to it this week, it's as though I heard it maybe for the very first time. I'm a little surprised, but I guess I was still in those waning days of the radio years, so probably just heard it out and about. But I can say me, you, and probably 96% of our listening audience has never heard anything else, right?
Oh yeah. I cannot name I can name another one of his songs because I did the history, but I've never heard another one of his songs.
Nor should you. That's your history. That's my history. Pretty uneventful. But before we can talk about the song, the music, we need to understand the man. So Tim, take us on a journey, an interesting one, I think, this week. Help us understand who is James Blunt and how did this song come to be?
James Hillier Blount, singer-songwriter and last name liar, was born to a helicopter pilot and Army Air Corps pilot father and ski chalet owning mother in Tidsworth, Wiltshire, England in 1974. Hillier grew up moving around the country and like Cyprus and Germany, given that his father was in the military. But interestingly, interestingly, Garrett, I really think you're going to like this fact. One of those stays was in a town called Clay next to the sea in a windmill. Can you imagine, Garrett, living in a windmill? What else could a boy ask for?
I'm sorry, what?
He lived in a windmill, Garrett.
Alone?
No, with his family. His whole family lived in a windmill.
Did they pay rent on this windmill?
I assume they owned it.
Okay, so if you live in a windmill, if your house is a windmill, is that like what you do?
What do you mean?
Generate power with my house?
I think you just enjoy living in a windmill.
They're not squirrels.
No, I understand. It boggles my mind that you're not just giddy at the idea that this man lived in a windmill.
I think you and I are picturing very different things.
Think of all the wind, Garrett. You have access to more wind than anyone in town.
What are you talking about? One, no you don't. It's all the same wind.
No.
And two, what do you do with wind even if you've had extra wind?
You do anything you fucking want with it. It's your wind.
I don't know what we're arguing about. I really don't.
He lived in a windmill. They collect.
God damn it. So seriously though, the windmill, they don't erect them for their aesthetics. They have a purpose. They do something. They don't collect wind, you asshole. They are typically connected to some sort of machinery that has a purpose. Are you learning something about windmills right now? Is that what that face is?
I'm doing some phone research. Yes, it doesn't matter. The point is he had an awesome childhood. It is also possible, of course, that the family lived in a windmill because his father flew helicopters and the whole family just felt more comfortable in a structure with constant spinning blades.
No, maybe. He just enjoys a good propeller.
As a child, Hillier took piano and violin lessons. He started playing electric guitar around 14. He got a pilot's license at 16, but it was mostly for fixed-wing aircraft, betraying his family and their legacy. He then went to the University of Bristol, where he got degrees in aerospace manufacturing engineering and sociology. Probably ought to cross over there. Unfortunately, he allowed for the army to pay for his university, so after university, he went into the military academy. He was commissioned into the lifeguards, which apparently is not all sexy shirtlessness in summer pools. They were machine gunners in the First World War. They landed on the beach at Normandy, liberated Brussels, and mostly now they're known as a reconnaissance unit, and that will almost certainly become important later in this story. For now, just know this guy knows how to watch people from afar. He knows how to follow people without being detected. He has been trained.
In a word, sneaky.
Yeah. Hillier eventually became a captain, and then he volunteered to join NATO forces in Kosovo. He was targeting Serbians to be struck with NATO bombs from above. He also brought his acoustic guitar to Kosovo. He would strap it to the outside of a tank he rode around in, and he would perform for his fellow troops and Kosovoians. I immediately thought that was obnoxious, and I kind of owe him an apology for thinking that, because this might be the one situation in which a jackass playing an acoustic guitar at night is probably not just immediately shit on. Soldiering is boring.
Yeah, a lot of boring, a lot of stress. I would imagine anyone who can competently play a guitar, you're like, this is nice. No one's yelling.
Yeah, this is not death. When he got back from Kosovo, he was the captain of the cavalry ski team and then joined the Queen's Guard, which I believe are the guys with the big fuzzy black hats.
Is that true?
I think so.
Aren't they called beefeaters? I mean, it's the style of the hat.
I don't know. He's guarding the Queen, though. Then he left the Queen's service to focus on his music career. Someone he knew got a demo he made to Elton John's manager, Todd, and that led him to signing on to be managed by Todd and with EMI Music Publishers as a songwriter. The record labels were concerned his voice was considered just a bit too posh for working class Brits to enjoy. They were concerned that it wouldn't translate to the common man, to the Garrett, if you will.
What?
You are the common man, Garrett. You're a working class guy, blue collar.
Nope. You really don't know what I do.
Linda Perry, former Four Non-Blonde, was less concerned about this problem and signed him to Custard Records in 2003. Hillier recorded his debut album in Los Angeles while living at Carrie Fisher's house for some reason.
What?
Yep, that was Back to Bedlam, the album that features the song of the week, and it was released in 2003.
With Princess Leia.
Yep, after getting a 4 non-blonde to pay for all of this.
Weird.
He's a sexy man, Garrett. I am not aroused, but he is a sexy man. He got positive reviews on the album, although it did not really sell well at the time. A New York radio station started playing You're Beautiful, which was not a single at the time, and the album kind of took off after that. He toured very widely on this album. He was on a ton of TV shows, and his songs were featured on basically every ABC, Fox, and CW mid-aughts programming. Weird Al did a parody of this song called You're Pitiful, but Atlantic Records refused to allow him to release it commercially. In 2007, he released All the Lost Souls that sold 4.5 million copies within a year.
Jesus.
He released Some Kind of Trouble in 2010, Moon Landing in 2013. In 2016, he got an honorary doctorate from the University of Bristol, so I guess he's some sort of physician of music now. Then he released the After Love in 2017. He collaborated with German DJ Ale Farben in 2019, and then he released Once Upon a Mind, and that is all.
Good, concise history. It's amazing to me how he was able to sell so many albums that didn't have You're Beautiful on them. Did we check to see if a copy of You're Beautiful's on there?
I think that everyone assumed he was not going to be a one-hit wonder and that next album was going to have a good song on it.
I see. Because I was going to say, arguably, that first album just has the one song.
Yes, and I would argue it's not a good song.
Not a good song. I don't hate it yet.
Well, you will. Don't worry.
We'll see. Tim, did you do a little research on what Mr. Blunt has to say about this song?
I did. He has waffled back and forth on what exactly the song is about. On Oprah in 2016, he said it was about a previous girlfriend that he then saw in the subway after they broke up with a new man who I didn't know existed. She and I caught eyes and lived a lifetime in that moment, but didn't do anything about it.
Right.
So that was the initial story. He's claimed that it's not really about anyone, that it's just about somebody he saw once. He claimed that it's far more sinister than it is. He's claimed it's far more innocent than it is sinister. I assume what happened is he made up the story.
Yes, that explanation is perfect. You are getting to the nut meat of the situation. I think that he made this whole thing up. I don't think he knew anyone. Well, okay, let me rephrase. I think that he did see somebody that he thought was pretty.
Sure.
What's more interesting to me than how much of this is accurate is the general blowback, the national, if not international, sentiment regarding James Blunt and this song. People really hate this guy.
Yes. And I think it has to do with those eyes and maybe the hair. Is it the hair? What is it about him, Garrett?
I mean,
I'm not aroused. I want to be real clear about that. That's not what's happening here. It's just, there's something about him that I do kind of hate.
Okay. You're throwing a lot of conflicting words my way, so I'm just going to address the ones that I care to. Yes, there is something about him that you just want to hate. And I do think that it was the hair. I think he has since fixed the hair and he looks like a normal dude.
Well, he kind of looked like a normal dude for 2005 with the dumb hair.
That's true. That doesn't mean I am not right to hate his face.
Oh, absolutely. We're all right to hate his face. No one's saying don't hate the face.
Good. Hey, Tim, hashtag don't hate the face. No, hate the face.
Don't hate the face. How about that? I think that's much clearer.
Much clearer.
Hashtag don't hate the face.
Even other musicians, Tim, openly mock this man. Noel Gallagher, the man who has no room to mock anyone, joked earlier this year that he had sold his home in Ibiza because Blunt had bought a house nearby, allegedly complaining that he couldn't stand the thought of Blunt writing crap tunes up the road.
Yeah, but the Gallaghers are a couple of 1-2 cunts.
100% true. I personally don't hate James Blunt.
I think I might, but I don't know. I'm scared of him, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know that. If you weren't scared of him, would you hate James Blunt?
Hard to say because I know he listens to the show.
You know it?
Yes. You know how I sometimes read things from James's?
I don't know what that sentence means.
You know how sometimes I will read correspondences and requests from James's?
Somehow I actually did piece it together this time, despite the explanation getting, 10 times worse. Listeners,
yeah, my point is, it's all James Blunt. James Blunt listens to the show. He writes into the show. I tell you about things that he has said. I just don't tell you who it is.
So he's James B.
Yes. Same thing with Portugal the Man. That's John PTM.
No, I knew that.
Okay.
That one's much clearer.
Anyway, let's listen to a little bit of this song, Garrett, before we talk about it.
Good call.
Cause I've got a plan. You're beautiful.
I am not aroused.
You know, you keep saying that.
Right, I want to really impart to the listener and to you, most of all, kind of to Gino, but he's mostly asleep. I want to impart to everyone how not aroused I am by this song and by this man.
Can we just assume, much as I have for the entire run of this show, 2+ years here, I will assume you continue to be not aroused unless you say otherwise. Or if I get the sense that you're clearly aroused, which,
But no, I am saying that I'm not aroused.
Mm-hmm.
If I was aroused, Garrett, I would tell you. That might be an After Dark.
I think it is.
Okay. After Dark, then.
Tim, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, I don't need to know if you're aroused. In fact, I'd insist you not tell me. In this one instance, I'll assume you're not unless you say otherwise.
Right, and that's what I am. I'm saying I am not aroused.
Don't know how we're not connecting here. Please stop giving me updates.
I'm reassuring you.
It's not that,
Anyway,
though.
the song sucks.
Yeah.
The internet believes that this sounds a lot like John Williams' score to Jurassic Park.
It makes me laugh so hard because I understand.
There's a very overdone mashup on the interwebs. There's a very subtle version. They're both hilarious. The subtle version actually made me kind of think that that might be the case. The over-the-top version has just T-Rexes roaring over him. And it's awesome. It definitely sounds like something. It's very similar to something. I can't do any better than Jurassic Park.
I thought it sort of sounded like the very first few notes of the old Incredible Hulk song, the sad piano music. Ba, 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 ba.
That is accurate. Well
I
done.
wonder if any of our listeners remember that.
Everyone does. A sad Bruce, or no, it's Dave Banner in the show.
Yeah, because in 1982, we didn't say Bruce. It's for gays. The gays own that name.
Yeah.
Hulk's not gay.
Right.
And I'm not either, gentlemen. I want everyone in this room to know that. Boy, that's a lot like you reminded me how not aroused you are. I'm starting to think, Tim, getting the notion, you might be a little aroused.
Notably, this was also co-written by Amanda Ghost and Sacha Scarbeck, who went on to co-write Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball with Dr. Luke, famed Weezer producer and even more famed Kesha abuser / sexual assaulter, allegedly.
Oh, super allegedly. Careful on that one. That one's legitimately got some legal ramifications.
Right. That's why I said allegedly.
Yeah, like super alleged.
Yeah.
Just helping.
He's a monster. Okay, that we
let's-
can say without allegedly, right? Dr. Luke is a monster.
Because that's editorializing, right?
I could be editorializing this whole thing, Garrett.
I was going to say it's all sarcasm, and for the purposes of entertainment only, we are not a news organization, nor do we report any of the things that we do or say on this show to be real in any way.
Maybe I'm talking about a different Dr. Luke and Kesha.
Yeah, you don't know all the Dr. Luke's and Kesha's Tim knows.
That's right. Got a whole stable of them.
4 pair. Back to the song, Tim.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for the music, I think.
Yeah, I want to talk about his voice. I, in my mind, was certain it was much more of a like falsetto sound throughout, like a much like, you're beautiful.
Is it not?
No. It's got way more of what I'd call like a creepy Davy Jones, maybe? Like the Monkees?
Kind of. It's a menacing falsetto.
The difference for me is that it escalates to falsetto in the song, whereas I thought in my mind it like kind of sat there the whole time like Beck's Deborah, like the whole song is falsetto. Because it opens, and we're going to get into the lyrics in a moment, but he sounds like a creep. Before we know anything about the song, before we learn about the music video, he already sounds like a creep to me with, my life is brilliant. Like it's...
Yeah, you're right. It's like a man whispering to you on a city bus.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm using this term correctly, sub-vocalizing. Can't quite tell what he's saying, but luckily there's microphones, so we get to hear the creepy mumblings. I saw an angel, of that I'm sure. And of course, he eventually gets much more British John Mayer. I did not remember the Spanish guitar.
Oh, yeah. That is ever present.
Confusingly so. Every time I hear Spanish guitar, because I was alive in the early aughts, I think of Esteban and his Spanish guitar lessons. You too can learn about the art of Spanish guitar in 82 DVDs. God, I wanted it.
I want you to have it now. I'd love for you to be able to play Spanish guitar.
Or just this song on repeat.
Yeah, I'd settle for that too.
So let's get into the lyrics.
Sure. You read the first one, my life is brilliant. I guess he flubs the line and sings it too early and then sings it again when the song actually gets to that part. I actually kind of like this. Like, I always kind of enjoy it. You hear somebody's fingers moving down guitar strings as they go to a different chord. It makes it clear that somebody is actually doing a thing in the song, and it's not just a bunch of robots sanitizing and auto-tuning something like most music is today.
Yeah, or even worse, somebody just perfectly editing something together so that a rambling jackass of a song sounds tight and perfect.
Yeah, exactly. My life is brilliant. My love is pure. I saw an angel, of that I'm sure. She smiled at me on the subway. She was with another man, but I won't lose no sleep on that, 'cause I've got a plan.
There's so much to tackle there. Let's start at the top. Telling me your love is pure, red flag.
Right. It's like saying you're not aroused. Wait.
Too late. It's out there. Next, I saw an angel, of that I'm sure. Most of the time, Tim, I'm going to take the most reasonable explanation and think, oh, he just thinks she's a lovely woman. I'm not going to read anything into these lyrics. However, I know the whole song. I know the history. Do we think this man at least believes this woman's an angel?
I don't think so. I think he's crazy, but he's not delusional.
Okay, so it is just a metaphor for a lovely woman.
I think so.
And she has smiled at him on the subway. That's reasonable. This is not a bad song yet, right? Except for the creepy, gnome voice.
Everything except for the lyrics is bad so far.
Yes. Now, granted, we've only read 4 lines.
But then she smiled at me on the subway. So he's catching somebody's eye on the subway. It's romantic. It's kind of a meet cute. It's a filthy subway train. It's someplace you can really pick up a nice girl, right?
Or you just happen to see a beautiful woman and she smiled at you and it made your day and you just moved on. Nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, okay, sure.
And then he mentions that she is with another man, but it doesn't bother him. He's not going to lose any sleep.
So here, if we stop right there, this is all still on the level. He sees a lady, he smiles at her, he sees that she's with another guy, and so he goes on about his day. He's like, she's dating somebody else. She is not available. I'm not going to pursue this. That's a fine song.
Exactly. Yeah, that's fine, unfortunately.
Well, right, Garrett, because he's not going to lose any sleep over the fact that she is with somebody else now, because he has a plan. And I would say he has a little bit more than a plan, Garrett. He has a particular set of skills. He has history. He has training. He knows how to follow her. He knows how to find out where she lives. Maybe he'll wait in the bushes, paint his face up like a bush or a tree or something.
Oh, sure. Who knows what kind of equipment this guy could get on loan from the UK government? You just call a couple of old army pals and suddenly you've got night vision and an acoustic radar that allows you to hear her pee at 3 a.m. I don't know.
Now, that seems like a very specific scenario.
No, just spitballing. Don't look at me like that.
You know about pee listening technology.
That was just a for instance, Tim.
Okay.
It's just a quiet thing that could happen in a house at a very quiet time of day.
Sure, that's fair. I shouldn't have read anything into that.
You're a loud urinator. What are you doing in there?
It doesn't matter, Garrett. The point, Garrett, if we focus on Hillier, we know he has the ability and the means. If he wants to stalk, he can stalk, and there's not a goddamn thing anyone can do about it, right?
Yes.
We can agree on that.
Sure.
Okay. He has a plan, and if you don't know any of the history where he claims that it's a previous girlfriend, because then it's just kind of a jealous thing, like, oh, I'm going to try and get her back, whatever. Still creepy, but if you just look at the song itself and what he's claimed later in the song, it makes it sound like he has a plan to separate her from this dude. And I think part of the problem that I have with this is he sounds so confident. This is Joseph James D'Angelo levels of confidence.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. I thought you were headed that direction earlier when you were talking about the bushes and the shadows and okay, you are equating James Blunt to the Golden State Killer. That is potentially, and I am not a lawyer, but that could be a bridge too far.
No, I'm equating the character in this song, who I believe to be James Blunt. But a lawyer would have to make 2 steps there. James Blunt to the character in the song to Joseph James D'Angelo. I think I can get away with that.
You know what? Let's check with the judges. I'm going to allow it. All right.
Yep.
So then comes the titular chorus, Tim. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true. I saw your face. Oh, sorry. I said I wouldn't do this.
No, you know what? I want you to, Garrett. I saw the smile on your face when you started to. Go ahead.
You mean it?
Yeah, I do.
In a crowded place, and I know not what to do, 'cause I'll never be with you.
If I may quote briefly from one of Blunt's contemporaries, all we share is a common glance, and nothing more shall ever be. Oh my God. I almost killed Garrett.
You butthole. I have Snapple in my lungs.
Yeah, Garrett does have Snapple in his lungs. He is potentially dying. He's like a Rumpelstiltskin character. You just say his own words back to him and he almost dies.
Is that how that ends?
I don't know, Garrett. I think you say his name and then he has to give you his gold, or maybe he doesn't eat you. I don't know.
That might be
German
Beetlejuice.
Monster.
I thought he was a sexual dwarf.
Like I said, a German monster.
I do want to maybe coin a new phrase for this guy's voice. Gnome singing or hobbit singing?
Yeah.
He's hobbit-like, and not one of the cool hobbits.
He's hobbiting. He is...
Hobbiting. Okay, so it would seem from the chorus that this woman is so incredibly beautiful, he saw her face in a crowded place, and he doesn't even know what to do.
He knows what to do, Garrett. He knows what to do. He's got a plan, and it involves that man no longer being there. However that happens...
I'm going to pose a theory here, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
What if the plan does, in fact, remove the gentleman from the lady through, let's just say, some light wet work, if you know what I mean?
Oh, God.
Sure. He just goes on a drive, doesn't come back. What happened? Who knows? Maybe a bear ate him.
I mean, a bear definitely ate him, but there's a series of events leading up to that before he was fed to that bear.
Folks, don't murder anybody. But if you are looking to murder, you might as well do something for Mother Nature.
Yeah, for our Bear American community.
Yeah, listeners of the bears, bear listeners of the show, feed a bear your corpses.
Allegedly.
Is
or
that
after dark? I don't know.
No, it's not that.
It could be. I mean, you don't
not.
want to do it in the bright daylight, Garrett. That's an after dark activity if I've ever heard one. So moving on, verse 2, yeah, she caught my eye as we walked on by. She could see from my face that I was fucking high. And I don't think that I'll ever see her again, but we shared a moment that will last till the end. Very Garrett-esque.
Sure. This is where things really exploded for me, Tim. When you read the lines, she caught my eye as we walked on by. She could see from my face I was fucking high. It sounds to me like they just made eye contact for a second and he was really high, so he thought it was a lot more profound than it actually was.
Okay, what drug do you think?
Well,
PCP?
If it's no, I don't think he'd even remember seeing her if it was PCP.
Oh, you remember. You remember everything, Garrett. You can't forget.
Right.
That's the problem.
You destroyed that putt-putt.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think you would have gotten away with it if you hadn't roared intermittently throughout the experience.
It was a dinosaur-themed putt-putt.
Sure. So I'm going to guess pot because he thinks it lasted a lot longer and was a lot more meaningful, but I am willing to reserve that he is on some sort of manic meth high. Because the next lines are, and I don't think that I'll see her again, but we shared a moment that will last till the end. That's the first time in this song I get the barest inkling that they may know each other from a previous relationship. And maybe, Tim, he is high and he's in real bad shape. Let's say 3 days into a meth bender, he's just pure manic. It's 8:45 in the morning. She's headed into work on the train, as she does every day, sees him high in the corner practicing running into her with his surprised face. I think there's a chance that in reality, they did date. Now he's a meth addict. She saw him ever so briefly. They exchanged glances, and then she just smiled and moved on.
Very Garrett-esque. Not the meth.
None of that's Garrett-esque.
Not the meth, but the pathetic, sad attempts, the long practice conversations that are all planned out beforehand, and then once they go a different way, you can't adapt well.
Can we qualify this as high school, Garrett, please? None of this is me.
Sure, okay, sure. So I think that that's definitely possible. I don't necessarily know that there's anything in the lyrics here, because the moment that they shared could be just that making eye contact, right? This could all be in his head.
That seems more likely.
Yeah,
but I'm trying to read in any way how he reflects through this song that they knew each other. And that's maybe the only line that I could kind of connect a dot. So I think you're right. I don't think they ever knew each other. He was just all cracked out. Now, crack's too easy. It's also very 1992.
Well, Britain got it later than we did.
Oh, maybe. Maybe crack was still all the rage. Meth's a safe bet, though.
Yeah, meth is always a safe bet.
Listeners.
Nope. Don't do meth.
Oh, but you said it was so safe.
You'll end up in a psych ward. Well, in all likelihood, you won't. In all likelihood, if you try meth casually, you'll be fine. But there is a chance that you'll really like meth, and all that fucking dopamine in your brain will drive you insane, and you'll start seeing things and hearing voices, and you'll be shouting, fighting cops, and you'll end up in a psych ward. They'll only be able to keep you there for 72 hours before your court date, but then you gotta go to court. It's probably not worth it, but
Excellent infomercial for methamphetamine. Good work.
No, I'm saying don't use them. I'm saying
I don't think that's what the message was.
Again, it's a small percentage that this whole scenario might play out. It's a very small percentage, but if it happens...
you're saying it's super low risk, high reward.
Absolutely. But if it does happen to you, that's a bad time.
Listeners, write in. Have you been committed to a psych ward after a multi-day meth bender left you manic and psychotic?
I mean, at least one person has. I'm guessing.
Our
audience? Yeah, 20... Okay, I was going to go a little lower, but sure, 25%. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, there's no judgment on this side of the microphones. We accept all kinds. Back to the song. How many times do you think he's seen her in a crowded place?
Probably multiple times. I see this as every day he's kind of hanging out in a subway station and he sees her fairly often, and he just wrote the song about the one time she actually looked his way.
I mean, you can tell when people are staring at you. I can always feel it in the dark when I'm trying to go to sleep. Creep.
Man, I can't be staring at you. It's very dark in there. I'm staring in your direction, sure.
I can feel it. Tim, there must be an angel with a smile on her face when she thought up that I should be with you. He's describing some sort of Cupid situation, right?
Well, sure. Aren't we all?
No.
Oh.
Either this is a reference to the humor of God and his injustices, or he may believe that angels create scenarios that allow us to capitalize on a moment to fall in love, but it is up to the individuals to seize that moment.
Yeah, that actually sounds plausible, sure. Yeah.
Okay, please don't side with a sociopath. But he admits that he fails because he knows that he will never be with her, and faces that truth at the end of the song when he says, "But it's time to face the truth. I will never be with you."
She's never going to date him unless he feeds her boyfriend to bears out in the woods and then consoles her. But I mean, he might never be with her, but he might be looking in that window. And that's like being there.
No, it is not. Do not advocate for peeping.
That's fair. Again, sometimes I let myself go down these paths. I am not advocating for peeping, obviously. I'm just saying James Blunt might be.
Your new nickname might just have become Peepin' Timmy.
The Peepin' Strangler?
The West Campus Peeper.
That I was.
You goddamn right you were.
Well, in my defense, Garrett, I was addicted to methamphetamines and I was hanging out in those Austin subway stations.
Those aren't a thing. Where were you?
Underground, I don't know. The sewer, maybe.
The sewer, it seems like. So, Tim, I have to ask, when he says it's time to face the truth that he'll never be with her, I get the impression he cannot live with this truth.
Possibly. The other thing is, if I can't have her, no one can. Perhaps this is a Elvis Presley, John Lennon sentiment from Run for Your Life.
I feel like he's going after the boyfriend and letting her free because he knows he can't be with her.
Okay.
But you might be right.
So in your interpretation here, the smart move is kill the boyfriend, kill yourself, let her be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
So what? Okay. So all we're saying, I'm advocating for peeping and meth. You're advocating for murder-suicide.
I did not expect James Blunt's You're Beautiful to become so incredibly gritty.
No one does because no one actually listens to the lyrics. They're dark. They are not arousing.
Well, here's part of the reason why I may not hate this song, is when you ask James Blunt about it, he does say, I feel like nobody listens to the lyrics. It's actually kind of a song about a creep. I kind of gets it.
Yeah, okay, but when he was first pushing this song, he was pushing it as this lost love. He might have written it with that in mind, and then after reading back on what he wrote, he was just like, oh my god, this song is truly terrifying. And now, of course, James Blunt has matured into a reasonable human being at this point. He's quite mature, and it's possible that he's looking back on it, and that is his interpretation of a song that he wrote.
Little revisionist history.
Yes.
Separating himself from the events which inspired it.
Yeah, exactly.
Enough time, Tim, you can believe that the past was actually somebody else's past.
That is the only thing that keeps me sane.
That's the only thing? Fair enough. Tim, did you watch the music video?
I did, and I would like to say before we discuss it, I did not find it arousing.
I am all but convinced, because I have no other way of knowing you were aroused by that music video.
Absolutely not, Garrett. I would not have been so adamant about not being aroused if I were aroused. This show is about honesty. Honesty with each other, honesty about ourselves, about each other, about the music videos.
And I feel like you're breaking that covenant right now.
No, I feel like you are breaking the covenant in questioning my honesty.
I think you're copying my use of the word covenant. I've never heard you use it, and I'd appreciate you stop. So Mr. Blunt is just alone in the rain, shivering like a sad little lad.
Facing away from camera in a hoodie or hooded coat.
Who looks like a stalker right off the bat, completely divorcing ourselves of the content of the song.
Yeah. The other thing, you mentioned that it was raining. The first 4 or 5 times I watched this video, I was pretty sure it was snowing.
Me too. It was only until after I watched the making of James Blunt's You're Beautiful that I learned it was rain. For $1 million, when you first saw this video and you see little Blunty out there in the rain or snow, maybe it's a wintry mix, would you have guessed that the next thing he was going to do was to lock in, look down the barrel of the camera, and begin removing his clothes?
I would have guessed that he was going to whip around and lock eyes with me and not break that eye contact for the next 2 minutes or so. Did not think he was going to start removing his clothes. It looked cold outside.
The whole thing is utterly bizarre until you get to the end of the video, and then you kind of understand.
Maybe.
As he begins removing his shirt, he looks up above him, and wouldn't you know it, there are birds circling overhead. I think this is foreshadowing of his potential death. Maybe they're vultures, although they look like seagulls.
He's making uncomfortable eye contact. He's singing at me. He's staring at me. I'm concerned he's undressing at me. Not for me.
Interesting.
At me. This is a challenge.
Okay. It's a provocation.
Right. I will admit, the second time I watched this, I may have undressed at him as well. Just to the waist. What's his game? If he wants to fight, all fights take place. You whip your shirts off. It's not weird.
Sure. True. Now, Tim, were you doing this under your own volition, or were you hypnotized?
Well, I was staring deep into those eyes.
God, you know that he can't see you, right?
I don't know that, Garrett. He was looking directly at me. It was
so
weird.
You're saying that this is some sort of Uncle Sam poster meets The Ring situation, where the James Blunt...
God, I would never have said that, but yes.
Oh, great.
This is an Uncle Ring situation.
I am thrilled to be your Sherpa down this path of insanity. So did you come to any sort of conclusion as to what his game is? Was it a provocation? Did you win the battle?
No, I didn't.
If you met James Blunt tomorrow, what would you do?
I would mirror his body language, Garrett.
100%, really?
Yeah. If he comes up on me, I'm going to come right back up on him. If he takes that shirt off, taking my shirt off. And I will keep doing this no matter what happens, likely. Because
whatever he does near, toward, or on you, you will return in kind.
Well, now it's seeming a little uncomfortable.
Kind of sounds like an invitation, Tim.
Don't hire James Blunt. Don't get him on the TikToks or the Cameo.
James Blunt's got way too much money for Cameo.
Here's something you could do, maybe for my birthday. If there was a song that James Blunt sang while staring creepily into a camera, while undressing and singing, you're beautiful, Tim, you're beautiful, it's true, I might have to kill you both.
What if I did it?
Please don't. Okay, so
What if I got, like,
listeners,
real greased up
you heard it
first?
here first. We have tricked Garrett. This was, of course, all a ploy. After he does the karaoke version of Christmas Shoes, you can expect him to do a parody of this music video, and by parody, I mean copying it exactly. You're
Putting in
welcome.
a Tim.
Yeah, of course, it will be sung to me.
You're beautiful, Tim.
Mr. Black. So he takes off his raincoat, he takes off his sweater. Why is his shirt so wet already underneath? I mean, I know why. It's because they probably did multiple takes of this.
Maybe it's a shitty jacket.
Could be.
No, I think it's your thing, though.
Nope.
So he sits down on this bizarre, non-specific, smooth white surface that you see in nature all the time, takes his shoes off and places them very neatly in front of him. And personally, I thought he was about to pray to Allah, which
It
nothing
did
wrong
look
with
like that.
Yeah, it looked like he was settling in for the call to prayer. But instead, he begins to systematically remove and organize objects from his pockets. And Tim, I became obsessed. You cannot really clearly see what's getting taken out of those pockets. I thought first time through, second time through, 3 times through, he took out a hair doll.
Yeah, it's a person, right?
Yeah, for the uninitiated, a hair doll is when you are typically stalking someone or have a one-sided, inappropriate, non-existent relationship, but in an effort to gain, I don't know, closeness or some sort of horrible sexual fantasy, you collect leavings of this person, either skin cells, toenail clippings, or in this case, hair, which you craft into a crude doll that you may or may not use for voodoo purposes, but
Oh, you're
do
using it for
know-
voodoo
do
every
know-
time.
Oh, interesting. I was just going to say, do know that voodoo or not, it is still sexual in nature.
I don't think
so I
all
saw a hair
voodoo
doll.
is sexual in nature.
No, that is not what I'm saying. Tim, you're treading on thin ice here. I do not think you want to challenge the dark arts.
Oh, God, no.
In any event, Tim, I did go on a mission to try to pick out some of the things that he does pull out of his pockets and arrange in front of him. Did you come to any conclusions? Because I do have some specifics.
Hair doll, compass, tiny rock that he keeps with him for comfort, possibly one of those pet rocks.
He takes out a pick, matches, a bike bell, snooker chalk, and a tiny book.
A tiny book.
I think it's like a book of like contacts, like a black book.
Okay.
Those are the things that I was able to ascertain and corroborate. Snooker chalk made me laugh a lot.
Yeah, it's very specific and very British.
Quite.
So he
Oh, good.
undresses to the waist. He takes those shoes off. I assume, like you were waiting in horror for him to take those pants off. But he doesn't because, and I have this on good authority, despite his military history, James Blunt is a coward.
Interesting. That is the second coward accusation of the episode. You get one more, you get a free coffee.
Everyone
I
or
do-
just me?
just you.
Okay.
Let me counter that with what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, I mean, we'll get to what he's up to in a minute.
Ashamed
but
of his blunt?
yeah, there you go.
It never even occurred to me that he was going to remove his pants. Mostly because I was watching something on YouTube and it's James Blunt, but also it's a music video that used to air on MTV. So
Well,
I
sure,
figured,
but why is he taking his shirt off?
unclear.
Okay, so there is a little issue here, right? It's a continuity
Yeah,
issue, maybe.
I think incongruous is maybe what you're searching for.
No.
Nope, that's definitely what you want. I was trying to do it politely, but now I'm just going to do it the right way. The word you want is incongruous. You son of a bitch. This is why my blood pressure is so high.
Oh, it's dangerously high, Garrett. You have what is termed malignant hypertension.
Don't you dare call my hypertension malignant.
It is. It is in the malignant range. It's also chronic.
Only-
You have chronic malignant hypertension.
It is not chronic. It is
I'm
acute.
around a lot.
Uh-huh, right.
Yeah.
It is acute and it is situational.
Sure, but I'm around enough that it is also technically chronic.
Okay, technicality, sure. You make me angry is the point.
I see. You're insulting me.
Tim, after he gets that shirt off, after he removes everything from his pockets, he stands up from this weird white smooth surface. And what does he do?
Well, he takes a running jump off of a cliff.
That I have to assume means he was so distraught with the fact that he could not have this gorgeous woman that he had to hurl himself into the sea.
And right up front, bad move. Now, granted, he was not wearing nice shoes, but he took his shoes off. Mediocre shoes are better to die in than no shoes at all.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. I was going to say odd choice to remove shirt, jacket, and shoes if your intent is to drown in the ocean.
Yeah, if anything, you want shoes and nothing else.
I would say not that. No. Why would you say that?
You want shoes,
more-
obviously, but other than
Okay.
that,
No, the more
present
layers,
yourself
Tim,
to
the
your
harder
Lord
it
and
is to
Savior naked, Garrett.
Tim.
Go out of this world like you came in it, but also with shoes.
I feel like if your entrance into heaven was contingent upon the shoes you wear, everyone would be born with fancy shoes.
Nope, that's why Catholics baptize you and get those shoes on quick, because you are unprotected before that.
God damn it. Now this is starting to add up.
Yeah, it's all true, Garrett. Everything I say is 100% true and verifiable.
Legally, the technical owner of Why I Hate This Album podcast would like to admit that Tim is not ever right, nor are any of the views he may or may not state on this show accurate, nor should they be taken as such.
Fair enough.
Don't Google shave bears.
Don't Google Mr. Hands. Google that Snickers guy in his Peanut Forest song, or Peanut Mountain, Caramel Nougat Mountain, Rivers of Caramel.
God, I want to do it.
Anyway,
Now
okay,
you're just taunting me, you guys.
So you watched the making of, the behind the scenes of the music video. How high is this cliff? Because the way they shot it, it doesn't look any higher than the cliffs that we were jumping off of.
They're not. It's like 25 feet max. It wasn't like we went off, our big one was 41 feet.
So he's fine.
Yeah, he's completely fine. Which brings me to the only James Blunt fun fact in the entire Why I Hate This Album database.
What about the windmills?
Nope. Didn't make the cut. I don't know who decides these things. But the only fun fact, this has never happened, James Blunt fun fact 0000000-001. He did actually jump off that cliff.
But again, it's 25 feet.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. That's why he's fine. Because he actually did do it and was fine. He then immediately swam over to a boat with divers.
But the implication of the music video is that this was enough to kill him, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That was the intent.
And that's why he never had another hit.
Nope, he's still very much alive.
Right, but that's what the music video is implying. This is freeing his career symbolically from ever having to have another hit.
I don't think so.
Okay, well then I don't understand music videos or visual symbolism.
That's accurate. Tim, how'd this do?
This is obviously Hillier's biggest hit. It is his own...
I'm sorry, what is his name?
Hillier?
Hillier?
Yes, James Hillier Blount.
Blount.
Again, he's a last name liar. Anyway, it is his only top 40 song on the Billboard Hot 100. It was a number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was number 1 in Belgium, Canada, the Czech, Ireland, Italy, Norway, the UK. It was number 1 on both the Swedish Sverigetoplisten and the Dutch megacharts. Garrett, this got them all. It was actually the first British single to top the Billboard 100 since Elton John's Candle in the Wind. This was the 4th best-selling song in the US in 2006. Quadruple platinum in the US. It sold over 6 million copies worldwide. The album it came from, Back to Bedlam, has sold over 11 million copies worldwide. And according to the BBC, this is the biggest selling album of the 2000s in the UK. This did so well that he never has to have another hit.
And technically, he didn't have a hit, but that next album sold like 4 million copies.
Right, because everyone assumed it would have a hit on it.
I think they were looking for like a remix of Beautiful. You're Beautiful.
They were looking for the You're Beautiful, Tim song. Mr. Black.
You're beautiful, Tim.
I like it.
What did people think of it?
Well, we do have 77 total reviews on Amazon, 4.6 out of 5 stars on average, 79% 5-star, 4% 1-star. Samantha, who rated this 4 out of 5 stars, called this beautiful song, smiley face. Oh, and by the way, this is from 2018. Has there ever been a better song? Not super happy about having to pay for it, because I feel like the classics like this should be free. But this really is a beautiful song, pun intended.
Kill her.
JPS said, download this song, but also go YouTube and watch the couple of live performances. This guy has a real magic to him. His effect on the audience reminds me a lot of Jim Morrison. He will make eye contact with just one person for just a moment, but you can tell that one person isn't likely to forget that moment. 5 out of 5 stars. That's not inaccurate.
Yeah.
But I think he's seeing his bad thing as his good thing.
Yes. He wants James Blunt to be in his bushes.
Yes.
He's checking his bushes for Blunt. Always check your bushes for Blunt.
Right, but he's checking it, hoping he's there.
Yeah, we're swinging a rake in there.
Check your bushes for Blunt.
Always, folks.
Yep, that's
do
the
a couple
t-shirt.
things before you. Just a little picture of James Blunt's heads peeking out over the bushes.
Yeah.
Always check your bushes for Blunt.
Yep.
Tim, I like this.
Karen M. Davis said, great item. This is from 2013. I love the song. It was my mother's favorite. Thanks from the great song from James Blunt. It was great. 5 out of 5 stars.
It was my mother's favorite?
Yeah, I assume there's a tragic story there that we're not privy to.
That's a shame.
Yeah, Karen M. Davis, right in.
What happened to your mom?
She just heard something new.
Or she was run over by 16 motorcycles.
Maybe James Blunt fed her to a bear.
Maybe James Blunt was in her bushes. Didn't check those bushes for Blunt.
Polly Ski said, amazing song. Singing this song to her landed me my girl. 5 out of 5 stars.
Ew.
It is ew, Garrett. That's the right reaction. Polly, that's ew.
That's not romantic, y'all.
That's not romance, y'all.
There it is. I sing it at you as a joke. If there was even a chance you might find it around, oh my God.
No, that's what I've been saying the entire episode. Tim Richardson, do not find this arousing. Now, I understand that you are going to edit out all the nods, and I am only now realizing that. I should have been saying don't to at least make it harder for you. God damn it. I'll do this real quick so that anyone that's listening to this part does this. For those of you that are listening, I said, I do not find this arousing. Garrett, just change this. I said it's do not arousing.
I'm just going to cut all that.
God damn it. All right. Garrett, who is this for?
13-year-old girls when this came out?
Sure.
Honestly, you know what, Tim? I take that back. It was allegedly for everyone.
That's true. Everyone did listen to this song.
Whether you wanted it or not, you were getting James Blunt in your head holes.
Let me ask that a slightly different way. Who did James Blunt intend this to be for?
Ooh. Various women he has accidentally run into in the subway, who may or may not have spontaneously moved to other sides of the planet shortly after meeting Mr. Blunt.
Yes, in the stomach of a bear. This song was so popular that without question, there were buskers on subway stations somewhere singing this song.
Oh, I guarantee you there were buskers that made a career out of covering this song.
But they're just standing in a subway singing about how they're going to murder women that are currently in the subway that they're currently looking at.
Modern day America is not paying attention. Everybody's got their goddamn heads down in their telephones, listening to podcasts. No, you know what? Never mind.
Yep.
It's great. Everything's great. Keep listening.
It's also for, I think, a slightly more sinister 16-year-old Garrett. If those poems had gone from sad to threatening, this might be what you would have become. But on the plus side, you would have gotten to date Lindsay Lohan, so that's fun, I guess.
Pre or post Mean Girls?
I don't know. I'm assuming post because Mean Girls was definitely before this song came out.
Pre or post whatever happened to Lindsay Lohan?
Probably pre, but I can't guarantee it. It's a flip of the coin here. You have to commit to dating Lindsay Lohan without knowing pre or post.
Oh, without knowing which Lohan you're getting?
Yeah.
Yikes. Honestly, I think probably both versions are not worth it. What have we not said about this?
Well, I just have one final thing to say. I did not find any part of this to be arousing.
I don't believe you.
The audience believes me, Garrett. The audience is on my side. We took a poll.
Audience, right in.
No,
Do you believe Tim? Hashtag Tim Hearts Blunt.
You can't put a heart in there. That hashtag's not going to work.
Doesn't work. Hashtag James Richardson.
No, that's just my grandfather's name. Timmy Blunt.
Timmy Blunt's not bad. I like Blunt Buddies.
I like Blunt Buddies too.
Okay, Tim, do you hate this song?
Yes, I do. What about you, Garrett? Do you hate this song?
I don't.
What?
I don't know, man. I don't know why. I think James Blunt's...
you found this arousing.
What part of it would I have found arousing?
The whole thing, Garrett. The voice, the music, the shirtlessness, the suicide, the threats to women. This is all in your wheelhouse.
None of that is in my wheelhouse.
Disagree.
My wheelhouse is free of shirtless men, threats to women. Okay, there's some violence.
To women?
No. Is that what you said? Oh, yes. God, no. Tim, this show, one of the moral columns on which we stand is respect for women.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jesus.
That being said,
I don't hate this song.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's terrible. It really is terrible. But as you said earlier, we don't lie on this show. I, for whatever reason, just don't hate it. I think James Blunt is a probably normal guy who just laughs at this song about a creep that made him a millionaire.
I'm not sure he laughs at it because he has to play this anytime he ever performs publicly. He probably hates this song.
Oh, I would imagine so. That's a very good point, though. I was looking at like an IMDb, and that lists all of not only like shows that it's played in, but it also lists performances he did in the show, as well as talk shows. Tim, he was playing this song like 4 times a day for like 5 years. That brings us to listener mail.
Okay, so my email is from Amanda, and Amanda said, I listened to your episode on Hey There Delilah, and I have a story I think you'll enjoy. A couple of years ago, I saw Plain White T's perform, and as an introduction to the song, T. Higgs proudly told the super creepy story behind it, ending his speech with something along the lines of, she's still with her boyfriend, but they never got married. I'd like to think I've got something to do with that. I imagine I've caused some fights between them because no matter how great of a guy he is, he never wrote a hit song about her. I hope that story makes you hate the song just a little bit more, Amanda.
I mean, it makes me hate him a little more. My email this week, Tim, is from Tony. Tony writes, Tim and Garrett, misspelled my name, that's okay. I think it's absolutely wonderful that you two are willing to house Mr. 99, that's Tekashi69 for those of you playing at home, after his release. I would like to present you with another option, though. My girlfriend and I just recently vacated the apartment featured in the ad below, and there is in fact an ad pictured in the email. Maybe you could rent it for him. We lived there for 13 years, but we bought our very first house, so it was time to go. Congratulations. Tacoma Park, Maryland, sometimes called the Berkeley of the East, sometimes called the People's Republic of Tacoma Park, unclear if either of those are true, is an adorable little suburb of Washington, D.C. I think Tekashi would really enjoy the annual folk and jazz festivals that are held downtown. If he's a fan of artisan bread, fresh produce, and locally sourced meats, then the farmer's market every Sunday is for him. As far as the immediate neighborhood is concerned, I think the local children would just love his rainbow hair. That is a fallacy. Children should not be allowed near him.
True. Also, little known fact, until the age of 11, children fear rainbows.
Ironically, as you lose that fear, you also lose all memory of that fear. It is a well-documented and agreed upon scientific fact. People are terrified of rainbows, and then they're not. Now, luckily, Tony is still in the immediate neighborhood, and so he would be happy to check in on him now and again on our behalf from time to time, or if we wish, he can just watch from afar.
Okay.
That's probably safer.
Now I understand why you picked this email. He's offering to blunt this guy.
No, this is just another option, Tim. Of course, we can't actually take him up on this because it is not a sanctioned halfway house by the state.
Oh, yeah.
No, we couldn't do that. But anyway, he continues. It is worth noting, however, that the predominant gang in the area is MS-13. I don't know how well they get along with the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods. I guess we'll have to find out. He includes the landlord's contact information, and he could also put us in touch and give us a good word with him along the way. Let me know how this works out. Always tasting the crow, Tony.
Always tasting the crow.
Yeah, you may want to seek medical attention.
Yeah, I used to always taste pennies, and then Garrett actually diagnosed me as bleeding inside of my own head.
Yes,
maybe
dripping right through the back of the throat and onto your tongue.
Yeah, so, Tony, it's possible you got a crow lodged in there.
Or a piece. A crow piece.
Right, like the head of a crow might be caught right by a tonsil or something.
Sure, especially if he has the tonsil out.
Crow heads will just get lodged right in there.
Assuming that you're consuming crows on a regular basis or a crow-based whiskey.
Of course. But who's not?
Fans of Slipknot sure as fuck are. That brings us to music news of the weird. My first story this week is about Elon Musk and Coachella Festival. They are feuding on social media because basically society is falling down around us. After rumors of Coachella having to postpone this year, Elon Musk took to Twitter to say they should postpone until they, quote, stop sucking, claiming it had become too corporate and not about finding new bands. To which Coachella responded on Instagram with a single photo from last year which showed Jaden Smith performing atop a Tesla Model X with the gull wings open, suspended over the entire stage 30 feet in the air. Mr. Musk did acknowledge the strong response with the simple tweet back, haha, okay, That was pretty funny.
In Elon Musk's defense, doesn't that sort of prove his point, though? Just a bunch of corporate bullshit of already famous people.
Yeah, but because it's his company, it's a little difficult for him to throw stones, though it's hard to imagine he had any real involvement with that. Unless you have to get clearance to perform, like, with a Tesla on stage.
Dude, it's Jaden Smith. He didn't ask for permission.
Jaden Smith doesn't ask for permission for anything.
No.
If you invite Jaden Smith to your wedding, he is going to wear a custom hand-stitched cloth white Batman suit to it.
Sure, he might even declare prima nocta.
He may, and then all of a sudden, what are you going to do, Kanye West? That's his wife now.
Well, it's his wife for the night.
Well, yeah, then after that, what use is she?
Jesus
According to Jaden Smith, allegedly.
Okay, no, that is fair.
You know I don't support the time-honored tradition of prima nocta.
That's true.
Tim, what's your music news of the weird?
In Troil Garth Brooks news, Troil was recently in Detroit, Michigan, and he had a concert there, and at his concert, he wore a Barry Sanders football jersey. Now,
which is a logical thing to do.
Absolutely, Garrett. He played for the Detroit Lions, and he was number 20. So he wore a Detroit Lions jersey that said on the back of it, Sanders 20. Now, his fans just went apeshit. They assumed this was an endorsement of Bernie Sanders in 2020 because they are idiots and everything is lost.
Yeah, darkest timeline.
They went on Twitter and wrote things like, nothing like supporting a communist to loss a few fans. How about going to a successful socialist country and doing some research? Oh yes, you can't, because there aren't any successful socialist countries. I didn't really look in the replies. I assume that once she understood what was happening, she issued a rebuttal and apologized.
I highly doubt it. She probably became twice as obstinate and somehow blamed him. And listen, I don't ever want to come to the defense of one Troil Garth Brooks because, you know, as we've covered on this show, he is a robot.
Yeah, but he's a funny robot.
It's official.
Yeah.
We're on Facebook. My next story, Tim, is a small, very brief update about Miss Britney Spears. Have you been staying up to date on your Spears news?
Nope.
Recently, Britney tweeted out a very interesting fact and amusing that she had about cheetahs. Now, Tim, I know you know a great deal about cheetahs.
Big fan.
So you're probably not going to be surprised by this at all. But Ms. Spears tweeted out, quote, "The cheetah is a large cat from Africa. It can't speak English, yet can run over 60 miles per hour. LOL. In other words, don't mess with the cat." You'll notice that she equates the ability to run quickly with being synonymous with speech.
Well, it's just surprising that, because a person that could run 60 miles an hour presumably could speak English.
Correct.
Or wait, no. I see what she's saying.
What?
She's saying
No.
that the English-speaking world is losing a step to the non-English-speaking world. They are faster.
What? No.
Because they don't speak English.
No. I think she's surprised that fast cat can't talk.
Aren't we all, Brittany? Aren't we all?
In related Britney Spears news, the conservatorship that is currently legally binding to make Britney Spears' father the sole decision maker in her life, despite being a 35-year-old woman, remains to be incredibly valid.
Well, I cannot believe that tweet or Facebook post or whatever it was helped her cause in any way.
No, in fact, I think currently there's a great deal of concern that her father's very sick and may pass away, and who will take care of Britney? Because again, she's contemplating why fast cats can't talk.
Yeah.
What else you got, Tim?
In some more Bernie Sanders news, Flava Flav has been fired from Public Enemy.
Seems like they were just looking for a reason.
Public Enemy had agreed to perform at a Bernie Sanders rally. Flava Flav sent a cease and desist letter to Bernard saying the campaign was advertising using his likeness and his band without permission. And by letter, I mean that he of course wrote, "Hey Bernie, don't do this, Flava Flav, Public Enemy #1, and then drew a little picture of a clock. It was co-signed by actual attorneys who presumably wrote more. Anyway, Public Enemy is a trademark owned solely by Chuck D, so Chuck D fired him.
Hilarious.
Yep.
And I like Chuck D, and I don't much care for Flavor Flav. While it is incredibly unjust that he owns all of it, it's very funny. Well, Tim, I don't know if you heard, as we record this, it is somewhat breaking news that South by Southwest has been canceled. However, the company which puts on South by Southwest has made a statement that they will not be issuing refunds for ticket holders this year. Now, South by Southwest is not your typical festival, folks, and don't feel bad if you don't know, but we're not talking about $200 tickets. We're not talking about $300 tickets. We're talking about a ticket price range of $825 to $1,650. Now, there are cheaper bracelets, but I'm not even counting those because those don't get you into dick. We're talking about the badges here. So we're talking $1,650 not being refunded. However, there is a silver lining, and I'm curious to see what you think of this. They are allowing people to defer their badge and use them sometime between 2021 and 2023.
I like that.
I do think it's going to make South by Southwest 2021 through 2023 worse.
Just more crowded. See,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that a lot of those people are people that would have come.
Probably doing it every year.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. So yeah, probably won't increase the crowds. I thought that was pretty fair. What else you got?
One of your favorites, DaBaby, who you may remember from a story on this very show where he stole $80 in lieu of getting $10,000 he was owed and possibly poured a drink on their head. Did that happen? Yeah.
That did happen.
He was recently in Tampa, Florida. He was going to perform somewhere. He was walking through a crowd with his entourage when he just turned and slapped a woman in the face really hard and then calmly walked away before not performing any songs, assuming that he has songs. I don't really know what DaBaby is or what he does.
He's a rapist.
Well, the slap was caught on video from multiple angles. I watched several of them. It was shocking, and legal action will almost certainly follow. The woman has lawyered up, but DaBaby did apologize and went on Instagram to share a video of the incident, which seems like a bad idea. But he also said, "Who knows shoddy government name, so my lawyer can get active." Presumably, he is mounting a coherent response.
Right. I think that was him saying, need to find out who this lady is so that I can pay her off.
Probably.
My next story, Tim, is about a good friend of the show, Mr. Tekashi69. His release date has been set. The 23-year-old rapper will be released August 2nd, serving only 8 of the 24-month sentence. Billboard is confirming 6ix9ine was sentenced in December of 2019 for a slew of crimes related to his time as a 9-Trey Gangsta Blood. Originally, he was facing 47 years to life, but Mr. Hernandez earned leniency in his sentencing because of his incredibly detailed and damning testimony against fellow gang members. From 47 years to life to 24 months to 8 months.
In the judge's defense, 8 months might be just shy of life.
That's true. That's a very good point. If he is not in the secure, warm, and inviting bosom of that third couch bed with those guns on turrets guarding him from potential assault or payback from those gang members who he so obviously betrayed. I'm just saying, Tim, I know there's no honor among thieves, but I thought there was still a code in the streets.
Yeah, he really bitched out, but we will accept him. 6699, if you're listening right now, I too am a coward, and I understand what you did. I would have done it too. If it was a different situation right now, I would be getting out of jail in August, and Garrett would be in jail for many, many years, and Garrett's crew would be gunning for me. So I get it.
My crew would be gunning for you, but are you telling me that you would sell me down the river to save yourself?
Yes.
You are not ride or die?
No, Garrett, you know what? I'm very committed to the cause or whatever it is we're doing here.
So you are ride or die?
Sure.
I don't want to have to get your contract out and point out the ride or die clause.
I have agreed in writing to commit crimes and to cover up the crimes and to perjure myself in court for Garrett.
You have not committed to having to do those things. You are committed to having to oblige to those things should they arise.
Yeah, but we all know what that means, Garrett. That's very specific language.
We don't talk about it. Any other news for you, Tim?
I've got a little Hawaii Five-0 news, or reboot of Hawaii Five-0. We mentioned this in the last Prepisode, and I was super stoked about it because it's confusing. Hawaii Five-0 is still on the air. And wouldn't you know it, between the time that we recorded the Five for Fighting Superman Prepisode and this Prepisode, it's been canceled.
Apparently, we got the fire lit after my rousing call to action against Scott Kahn. The show has been canceled.
I think it was just everyone realized that they were intimidated by his sideburns as well. The point, though, is that we did this. It did last for 10 seasons. Taste the eyeball.
In my final news of the week, Tim, it's a dark tale. The Corey Feldman documentary, My Truth, The Rape of Two Coreys, has come out, sort of. It did premiere at the DGA screening room in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, Tim, the fans of Mr. Feldman who wanted to simultaneously stream the film for $20 they had paid online, followed by a live stream of the Q&A to follow the film, were not able to do so. After the first 10 minutes passed when the film was set to begin, Mr. Feldman said, "Screw it, we'll start it anyway." Then about 20 minutes into the film, Feldman stopped the movie and then forced all of the people in attendance to listen on speakerphone as he argued with his IT guy as to why the film was unable to be streamed online. Allegedly, hackers were to blame.
Yeah, of course they were.
Sure.
He is just the world's worst showman.
Oh, in every regard.
You know who was in that audience, though?
No.
Ron Jeremy.
God.
Unclear why. He's in everything, though.
He's just there. If you are looking for F-list celebrities, Ron Jeremy will be there. In any event, finally, Corey just said, fuck it, we'll start it anyway, and he continued the film. Unfortunately, for those who paid the $20 to watch it online, they were unable to do so.
The most surprising part about that is when he restarted the film, given how terrible of a showman he is, he did not start it at the beginning again.
God, that would have been rough. The film ends, and Corey stumbles back out there. Hey guys, I don't really know what to say. The lady from E was supposed to come and moderate a Q&A, but she backed out 2 hours before it was supposed to start because E's muzzling her because we're speaking the truth. But we, in this audience today, will not let the truth be stolen or hidden. My truth is this film. He then invited everybody to attend an after party at the Rainbow Room where there would be free potato skins and pizza. Not joking. That's
a classy spread right there.
Yeah. So after he didn't stream it for people who paid $20, he interrupted the film for the people who were kind enough to show up. He then didn't do the Q&A as promised because the host wasn't available and probably didn't ever exist, and then didn't show up to the after party for an hour, at which point he showed up with 6 hulking security guys who led him to a back table where Mr. Feldman began screaming, "Where's my food? Where's my potato skins? I paid for this." He's quite a sight.
I was expecting you to say he was escorted in by 6 angels.
I think the angels have escaped.
Oh, good for them. Apparently no new information was in the movie.
Technically not new, but there was some pretty shocking information.
Yeah, so it's the Charlie Sheen was accused, and it's in super graphic terms that I won't repeat here necessarily.
Same.
But yeah, he basically accuses Charlie Sheen of raping Corey Haim. Is it Haim?
Yeah.
Did we ever decide this? I don't think we did.
What do you mean decide?
I think
it's Corey Haim.
I think it's still up in the air.
It isn't.
The point is,
I'll strangle you.
no, you won't. The point. Jesus Christ! All right. Tip to the audience: if Garrett says that he's going to strangle you, he will. At least a little.
Man of my word. Yeah, just a little. That brings us to the final segment of this episode where we announce what album are we talking about next week, Tim?
Next week, we will be discussing Van Halen's Van Halen 3. This was suggested February 2018 by Brad. Not our Brad, but a Brad. This Brad was one that was horrified by our denigration of all Brads. But he suggested this album, and after over 2 years, we have gotten around to it.
I apologize that you're a Brad, and I'm sure that you're a nice person, but you can't argue with me about the axiom of Brads. That's like arguing about gravity. It just is. Tim, any predictions about this album? Do you, off the bat, have any idea what we're in for here?
No, I mean, I know Van Halen's earlier work. I don't know that I've ever heard this album. I've heard quite a bit about it. Most of it's just been extremely negative stuff. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, ditto. I don't think I know a single song from it, but all I've heard about it is bizarre and awful. As always, people, rate, review, subscribe, let your friends know. That's the best thing you can do for us. If you run out of people to try to listen to our show, then you can do us the second best by going out to iTunes, throw the 5 stars up there, and then just write us a quick little something. We read every one. We appreciate it. And if you're particularly clever or you make us laugh, we'll read it here on the show.
Another option, make more friends, tell them about the show.
Listen to podcasts, make friends, and then tell your friends to listen to podcasts, and then tell them to make friends. You see how this works. You can go to hatepod.com and get a copy of every episode we've ever done in every format imaginable, including your very own MP3. You can take it home and love it and make it all your own. But we are not on Pandora Premium. they know why. You can also reach out to us at HatePod by clicking on Contact Us in the upper left-hand corner, and it's going to ask for an email address. That's just so we can email you back. We're not going to do anything with it other than that. Or you can just email us directly at hatepodmail@gmail.com, and we want to hear from you. So tell us what you're into, what you like, theories, experiences with these songs. Got a fun story of incredibly embarrassing moments from your youth related to this music or not? We want to hear about it. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at albumhatepod, or you can reach out to us on Instagram at hatepod, facebook.com/hatepod, YouTube, but who could remember the URL? For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been not aroused.
You're not aroused, it's true.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Gary.